filling.
So we are flying to London for only 2 reasons. First, to try my best to finish the London Marathon in one piece, and second, and more importantly, to eat a lot of yummy food, practically my 2 only skills in life. Our foodie adventures began before we even boarded the plane. We were taking an overnight flight from Canada to London, so we decided to have a little midnight snack at the airport. I'm not even like a huge chocolate cake fan, but I think the fact that it was free and also way past my bedtime, so I was slightly delirious, made it extra yummy. Plus, I got the last slice, which I think made it taste even better. The plane portion of the trip was honestly a bit of a blur. We did get this huge plain breakfast tray with an omelet and a chicken sausage and yogurt and a very yummy buttery fluffy Costco-like croissant. A couple days before a marathon is when you start to do something called the carb load to fill up the glycogen stores and make sure we have the maximum fuel for the several hours of running that we willingly paid to put our bodies through. And I know some runners prefer to keep it light and more nutrient dense and, you know, carb load with sweet potatoes and plain rice and whole wheat bread, which is cool, but if I'm in London and I'm carb loading, I am going to all the bakeries and eating all the pasta and pizza and pistachio croissants I come across. This raspberry pistachio croissant had the flakiest, butteriest dough ever and such a beautiful, thick, nutty pistachio paste inside. It was crazy.
Oh my god, do you see that filling?
And I had such low expectations for this brownie. It just looked so dry and bland.
It doesn't look that good.
But this brownie taught me a very valuable lesson: to never judge something before you bite it.
Suspiciously delicious.
I think my initial impression of London was like, holy crap, the bakeries are so delicious. And that very quickly turned into, holy crap, why is this pasta $70? £1 basically converts into 2 Canadian dollars, so all week I was just gasping at the bill. Unfortunately, I swear the food somehow tasted worse because I knew I was paying triple compared to what I'd usually be paying. Each of these pastas totaled $69 after the mandatory tip was added. I usually really trust Google reviews, but this was certainly not a 4.9 out of 5 stars when you account for the price. Plus, they charged us $10 for tap water. Like, is that even legal? I felt slightly cheated, shocked, and still hungry, but we licked the plates clean and chugged the rest of the expensive water and headed off to the Marathon Expo to get my London Marathon bib. This was so surreal. I was just like so proud of all the runners around me. I was like, you guys all worked so hard to get here and everyone's so strong and amazing. And I also found this rooster, but unfortunately I didn't find that many free snacks or samples, but I did, after an embarrassingly long time, found my name on the name wall. It was the hardest thing I've done in a while. All that searching made me hungry again, so we sat outside the expo watching people come and go with their race day packs while finishing off the rest of the croissant and brownie. I feel really lucky that so many places in the world hold such special memories for me. Like Thailand, for example, is the first place I ever solo traveled, and as cheesy as it sounds, it's where I kind of found myself, and also where I scuba dived with stingrays, which was so magical. And Singapore is where I had my first taste of belonging and where I had the most insane trip of my life, and it was the birthplace of my running journey. But London takes me back to a not so great time in my life. From other people's point of views, it probably looked like I was living, I don't know, a really cool, fun dream life. I just turned 20 and was at my peak with YouTube and was getting so many incredible opportunities. I was working with a big workout clothing brand. I was financially independent. I was literally traveling to London in the middle of a school week to meet a creator I'd looked up to so much and got to live with her for a week. If you've been around since I met Lily Sabri, I can't believe you haven't gotten sick of me yet. But yeah, life totally didn't feel real. I was so grateful, but I was also really unwell. I was entirely burnt out and trying to balance being a new full-time creator and this world of social media, and also trying to be a full-time student and trying to move on from a breakup and surviving off of 3 hours of sleep every night and trying to please everyone and say yes to every opportunity and make friends and go out and make money and do it all. There was so much to be happy about, but it felt like my soul was dying, and like I knew no one would understand even if I tried to explain it. But it was actually on that trip to London a couple years ago, and I was talking to Lily about how I was feeling, and she was the first person who recommended that I start therapy because it had really helped her over the years. But back then, therapy was like complete unknown territory for me. Like I didn't even know how to react when she said that. I was actually kind of uncomfortable. When I was growing up, no one really talked about mental health the way that they do now. And even though there is so much mental health awareness happening now, 37% of Gen Z still believe that those who seek therapy are mentally weak. Personally, Originally, it took hearing multiple friends and people online openly talking about their experiences with therapy to change my perspective, and since then, I've now been in therapy for I think over 2 years now, and it's made me so much more self-aware and compassionate. It's helped me better manage my stress and anxiety, and I don't know, just accept myself as I am. So in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm working with BetterHelp, the sponsor of today's video, to stop the stigma around mental health support. Therapists are great listeners and advice givers and can help you see things from new perspectives, and not knowing where to start can feel really overwhelming, but BetterHelp's mission is to make starting therapy as easy as possible. If you think you could benefit from speaking with a licensed therapist, you can click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/sun to match with the therapist in as little as a couple of days. And if you use my link, it'll also get you 10% off your first month of therapy. Anyways, did you know that hotels in London have windowless rooms? We didn't until we got put in the basement. And I wish I had filmed it because it really was, I hope, a once in a lifetime experience. I think since it was London Marathon week, literally all the hotels in like all of London were fully booked, and the rooms left with windows were literally over $1,000, but we did still pay hundreds of dollars to be locked up in a damp, dark basement. But the breakfast buffet did have windows and 5 entire tubs of Nutella. I ended up getting a mountain of fruit and a pancake smothered in Nutella and a PB&J toast. Oh, and a hash brown. Definitely one of my favorite forms of potato.
I've heard good things from the back. Peanut butter chocolate caramel bites. Milk chocolate cookie dough bites. The pigeon is coming. Whoa, it tastes like the Ben & Jerry cookie dough pieces wrapped in chocolate.
We wanted to do some sightseeing and touristy things today, but it hadn't occurred to me how many steps that would require me to take because London is such a walkable city. And before we knew it, we were literally at 20,000 steps. Probably not the smartest thing to do 3 days before running a marathon, but we had to take a couple more steps to get to our lunch spot. That was actually recommended to us by a viewer we bumped into on our way home from the expo yesterday. She said she really recommended this place, but that it was hard to get a reservation, so I think we just got super lucky. I was overexcited and over-ordered. We started with their 2 most popular dips. One was salted cod on labneh, which I think is a soft cheese, but my favorite was the tahini hot honey with crispy chickpea dip. Oh my god, the savory, nutty, roasted sesame taste with the sweetness of the honey and the crisp crunch of the chickpeas scooped up in this fluffy laffa bread was insanity. And then we got this bread that looked like a plump bagel called akma that was so soft and fluffy and slightly herby. They also highly recommended their spanakopita dip, which was like this cheesy spinach feta herby dip with this oily flaky pancake. At this point, we probably could have stopped eating, but the server convinced us to order the lamb and this Greek orzo pasta stew made with oxtail and bone marrow. That was a creamy hearty flavor explosion. And afterwards, we were literally so full I could barely move. After a while, my stomach pushed aside just enough room for gelato, so we got their double pistachio, which indeed was extra pistachio-y, and a scoop of dark chocolate sea salt.
Oh my god, it tastes like brownie batter. Wow! That's the best pistachio I've ever had. Look at this cone.
This place serves their gelato with a mini cone filled with molten milk chocolate, which is so genius because the melted chocolate inside the cone eventually freezes and just turns into the chocolate cone nub at the bottom of a drumstick, which is like the only point of eating the drumstick anyways. It was so good.
This is insane. 15 out of 10.
And it gave me just enough fuel to walk back to our hotel room that now had a window thanks to Rana, who had booked our hotel rooms well in advance. It really did feel like such a luxury to have a window.
We're so lucky. Bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you.
We did a little pit stop at the breakfast buffet to snatch some bananas before heading to one of the many bakeries you guys recommended. Sadly, I didn't get to go to all of them this time, but now I have something to look forward to next time.
Could we get a honey butter toast, pistachio chocolate?
Rome is known for their honey butter toast square, and it was just perfect.
It's still warm.
A thick, crunchy, golden, sugary shell, a buttery, soft, pillowy inside. I definitely could have eaten like 7 of them.
That's so yummy. 我小时候吃的 honey graham cereal. This is a pistachio escargot. Crazy filling on the inside.
So if you don't know what Runna is, it's the running training plan app I use, absolutely amazing, highly recommend. Runna is also the brand that invited me here to run the London Marathon. They're based in the UK and they're also a really social brand. They love hosting events and runs so runners can meet other runners and, you know, be social together. But if you didn't know, I don't have a single extroverted cell in my body. I genuinely have not been to a socializing event in so long. I feel like I've forgotten how to talk to other people, and I apologize to any of you who have or will bump into me in person for being so incredibly awkward. For those of you who don't have social anxiety, you probably won't understand, but it's actually kind of, I don't know, terrifying. When I was younger, as in like from age 5 to 6 months ago, I was always very upset with myself for not being as expressive or talkative or charismatic as my extroverted peers.
They put so much butter.
And even though I'm pretty experienced at masking, you know, pretending to be extroverted so I can fit in and so I don't make other people uncomfortable, it gets pretty tiring constantly fighting who you are at your core. In the past year or so, I've stopped seeing my introvertedness as a weakness, as if it was something I needed to fix about my personality. But I wish someone had told me back then that it's okay to be different and to enjoy spending your time in different ways. It's okay that you feel most alive alone in nature or on a run or lost in a book. It's okay that you are more sensitive. It's okay that you don't want to have surface level conversations or friendships. It's okay that making friends and being social takes so much more effort for you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Just came from a social event, like a social runner event, and I was so nervous. Every part of me is like sweating. There's some moments where I felt a little socially awkward, but overall, I think I did a good job. I was too nervous to film anything, but I had some pretty good conversations, met some nice people, and survived. So Lotto's really bad.
I have made my peace with my introvertedness, but I think I'm always worried how I'll survive in situations where I'm in a room with a bunch of strangers and expected to mingle, and oftentimes I do find myself standing awkwardly in a corner or looking really interested in a plant, or sometimes I even pretend to be calling someone on the phone. I think it's definitely gotten worse since I never have to be social in my job. You know, social media is actually not very social, so from time to time I think it's actually good for me to force myself to talk to some people.
Bites. New book. They say it's like Daisy Jones and the Six, but figure skating.
I sometimes regret it, but I also sometimes get pleasantly surprised. Like if you watched my London Marathon video, you'll know I met a girl at the Runna event who told Runna that she wasn't comfortable running the shakeout run all the ambassadors were supposed to run. She wanted to rest the day before the marathon. I also didn't really want to run it because of my ankle injury, but was gonna force myself to do it anyways. But her self-assuredness and assertiveness inspired me to stand up for my ankle. And it sounds like such a tiny thing, but it was kind of a huge deal for me. And I would have never found that courage if I didn't find her. For the rest of the day, we wanted to keep the steps as low as possible since I was going to be attempting to run an entire marathon tomorrow, so we just found some places to nibble on close by. We stumbled across this cozy little shop where they had a ton of focaccia pizzas that you pay by weight, and it was such a cute concept, but 2 slices were legit $50, and I can't say it was the best focaccia I've ever had. But across the street, we spotted a Gale's, which is like their Tim Hortons, but like 5,000 times more delicious, and they sell a bunch of different baked goods. So we each chose a little sweet treat. My mom got the brownie finger and I got the chocolate chip muffin. And
I always eat the bottom first.
I save the top for later.
we basically sat in the park, ate our goodies, people watched, and tried not to get beaked by the geese. And I also got a little ankle massage, and it was kind of the perfect rainless afternoon.
We found it. The Reese's bus. I've been looking all over for you.
For the dinner and breakfast pre-marathon, you want to eat something carby but not too heavy, and it should also be a meal you've practiced during training. For a lot of people, that's like a big bowl of pasta with tomato sauce or sushi or lots of rice, but for me, it's usually a margarita pizza. It's delicious and it's easy on my stomach, and I can find it in most cities. And I also had some electrolytes for extra hydration, and then went to bed extra early. My main goal that I set for myself for this marathon was not to run faster or run a certain pace, but it was to improve my fueling strategy and to train my stomach to handle more fuel before my runs. About a year ago, I ran my first half marathon on literally half a banana, and I had 3 bananas before my full marathon last fall and was hungry before even starting to run. So I spent the past 4 months slowly increasing my pre-long run meal, and I'm actually very proud to say I now eat an entire bagel with peanut butter and like half a cup of jam and an entire banana before my runs, and I have encountered 0 stomach issues. I was totally one of those people who say like I'm just not hungry, or I have no time, or I don't have an appetite in the morning, but if we really wanted to, we can train our stomachs, and I feel so much stronger and can run for longer and have so much more fun on my runs, and even feel less hungry throughout the day when I properly fuel my workouts. To do all the things we want our bodies to do, we gotta eat enough food. I know that some people truly despise energy gels, but for some reason, knowing that I get to eat my gel soon gets me through my runs now that I've found my favorite flavors and brands. There are not gross ones out there that exist, I promise. This time I ended up choosing to eat more energy chews because I think they're tastier, and I had lots of walking breaks to actually chew them up and not choke on them. I fueled every 30 to 35 minutes, and in total took 3 Cliff Blocks, 3 exact fruit bars, 2 Huma gels, 1 banana that was being handed out on the course, a Percy pig, and 2 random gummies, which is almost 70 grams of carbs an hour, which probably means nothing to you, but is a huge win for my stomach. And I stopped at every water station, and I didn't take electrolytes because I had sodium in my chews, and I ended the marathon with no nausea, no stomach issues, nor did I pee myself. And most importantly, I really had a blast. It was such an honor to run the London Marathon. My mom had a bunch of pastries waiting for me at the finish line that I munched on the walk back to the hotel, which for real was more painful than the last 10 kilometers of the marathon. Like, I didn't think I was gonna make it.
Oh my god. We made it to the hotel. That took like an hour. I'm dead.
I didn't pee myself.
My mom and I were both craving food from the motherland, so we went to the closest Chinese restaurant we could find, and it was so very mid. And I wasn't even shocked that the fried rice cost $60. The gelato was again not great, but I was still in my post-marathon high, so I forgave it. I woke up hangry and hobbled as fast as I could to the breakfast buffet. Oh man, I loved Frosted Flakes when I was little, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and these pop ball ones, and I will always be a Cheerio girl. And then I crushed the rest of the almond croissant from yesterday. Stairs were my enemy for a couple of days. I slowly and painfully made my way to meet the Runna team one last time to say thank you and farewell, and also got a pot of Greek yogurt with granola and berries that I inhaled. I always find my hunger spikes the day after a long run. We actually went back to the same bakery we got the first pistachio croissant from because I thought my brother needed to experience the buttery deliciousness. We ordered a focaccia sandwich and then a burrata honey flatbread that was kind of incredible. The crust was perfection, and we tried a bunch of pastries, including the viral cookie croissant that was like viral 3 years ago, but I'm usually just that late to most trends. And don't attack me, but I almost felt like there was too much going on in my mouth. I think I just prefer my cookies and croissants separate. So good though.
We found the Reese's bus again.
So you're at St. Paul's, but instead of filming St. Paul's, you filmed the Reese's bus.
Yes.
A London foodie creator I met told me that I have to go try this bougie British restaurant called Fallow and that I must get the corn rib, so I obeyed. Very addicting. This was also like 99.5% fruit juice, but I swear after 3 sips I was already drunk. My brother's favorite YouTube channel of all time is obviously not mine, but they reviewed this restaurant and they hyped up this mushroom parfait.
Oh my gosh.
And the hype was real. It was so yummy, like your mouth just can't not like it. Smooth and creamy and slightly sweet and umami. And we ordered this pricey but adorable potato waffle because my brother really wanted it. And it tasted like those frozen potato waffles you get at the grocery store. And our server practically forced us to order these ribs. Like, he was very passionate and persistent, and they were pretty impressive. And as someone who tolerates burgers, like I don't love them, but I'll eat one if I have to, this burger was perfect. The bun was so fluffy and buttery, and the patty was juicy, and every bite just felt right. And there were even potato chips in it. I think this was my favorite meal we had in London. I honestly can't even remember what I ate on my first trip to London. It all just felt like a blur. I also think I was low-key half asleep. Since then, I've spent a lot of the time in between trying to heal, go to therapy, and unlearn some toxic beliefs I had about my value, and I really wanted to get to know myself and learn to accept and eventually like who that person was. Back in the day, I used to work with a UK-based workout clothing company called Gymshark, and back then, I was just grateful any brand noticed me. I was still a baby and didn't really care if the brand's values aligned with my own. Well, all my content was about like body positivity. I feel like Gymshark was more focused on looking strong and looking healthy and looking fit instead of actually feeling those things. Gymshark also used to be more inclusive of different body types and fitness levels, but I don't think that's the case anymore. And while I'm grateful for the experience, it was a really toxic partnership for me. Not only was it demanding content-wise, but it was super harmful for my body image. Basically, they just wanted me to take a bunch of pictures of myself in their workout clothes multiple times a month. And the last time I was that preoccupied with my appearance was when I was hospitalized for an eating disorder. So my feed became full of butts and protein and edited and posed bodies. I thought to work with Gymshark, I had to look like all of the other Gymshark girls, and it really messed with my head because no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't.
We got a pot of yogurt, avocado, egg bagel.
I couldn't see it back then, but working with them was preventing me from healing, and it really clashed with not only who I was, but also like who I was becoming. I don't think health and wellness and fitness should be an aesthetic, or that you need 40 sets of workout clothes to be a gym girl, but I was still crushed when they ended things with me, even though a part of me was relieved. So much of my value back then came from other people valuing me, and I wish I could have told my younger self, you know, that there will be other brands whose values align with yours, and it's okay to outgrow jobs and relationships and past versions of yourself. And all of these losses, well, they kind of hurt right now, are actually making the space and time for all of the new things you're gonna gain. So my brother's best friend, who lives in London and is a foodie and is Indian, recommended this fancy Indian restaurant to us. I have been deprived of Indian food. It has somehow been over a year since I last consumed it. After 3 dips and a ton of fried chippy things, we tried their aloo chaat, which was like chickpeas and potatoes with this sweet and sour date and tamarind sauce and like an explosion of spices. So good. And it was all a fixed menu, so we got to choose different appetizers to share, and they're like famous for their butter chicken, so we ordered 2 and it was delicious. But I have to say, $60 for a tiny bowl of curry is diabolical, and the naan was actually the worst I've ever had in my life. It looked and tasted like cardboard. Like Costco naan tastes 400 times better, so yeah, go to Dishoom instead. So after Gymshark broke up with me, I stopped taking pictures of my body. Like if you ever go on my Instagram, you'll notice I don't post any pictures of myself anymore. And if I do take pictures, it's selfies of me and my mom, or moments that I want to remember, or my dog doing nothing, or of the yummy pastries I ate. I have nothing against people who like to pose for pictures or have photo shoots or take gym selfies. If it makes you feel happy or confident or expressive or brave, you do you. But I had to ask myself why I was taking 400 pictures of myself in the same outfit for Instagram. Was it for validation? To prove to people who barely know me that I'm happy or pretty or skinny or fit? And I don't hate what I look like in pictures, but I also don't think it's representative of how I see myself or my body. I'm not how toned my arms are, or clear my skin is, or stylish my outfit is. That's just what I look like, not who I am. And ever since I've stopped posting and posing and caring, it's probably the best thing I've ever done for my relationship with my body. And I've never felt more confident. I do the workouts my body wants to do, not for the body type I want. I dress however I want to dress, I eat what is right for my body, and I am happy. I don't just look it. And my camera roll would still be full of pictures of me in sports bras instead of sunsets and donuts and silly family selfies and me running all over the world if Gymshark didn't fire me. So no hard feelings, except you did get me banned from the States, so not entirely forgiven.
Indian, Leon's waffle fries, nuggets, sausage roll.
From Greg's.
So concerning. Crust is good. Oh wow.
Fire.
Anyways, the musicals here are like famous for being phenomenal, so we picked one that wasn't too confusing for my mom, which ended up being The Lion King. Going in, my expectations were decently high, but I was still like, how good can it really be? Guys, it exceeded every expectation. It was absolutely magical. I can't believe how talented some people are. Overall, while I probably spent more money on food here than I have in the entirety of my life, thank you London for having me again, and for hiding the rain, and for not breaking my ankle, and for all the mediocre food, and for giving me the chance to see how things blossom with time. That the right people stay, and rejection really is redirection. The highs will pass and the lows will too, and there are so many wonderful things in life that are still waiting for you. We will eat together again very soon, ideally somewhere a little bit more affordable next time. I love you guys. Bye!